Imagine being on the best NFL team, catching passes and touchdowns, while also catching bodies. That's the story of Aaron Hernandez, the former star Patriots player, who was accused and convicted of killing 3 people and shooting 3 others, while actively putting on a show on the field each and every game day. This story has a lot of twists and turns, from the life sentence to his acquittal for 2 of the murders 2 years into his sentence, and also him taking his own life right after that acquittal, leaving more questions than answers out here. What really happened and why? Let's go back and see. Aaron Joseph Hernandez was born on November 6, 1989 in Bristol, Connecticut. His mother, an Italian native, was a secretary at the elementary school, and his dad, who is from Puerto Rico, was a janitor for the school. He played basketball for Bristol Central High School, and he was also Connecticut's Gatorade Player of the Year for football as a senior. And then he rose to prominence as an All-American tight end at the University of Florida from 2007 to 2009. Hernandez was a star for the Florida Gators, but he kept getting into trouble with his coach over his class absences and smoking weed. Because of that, his coach recommended that he enter the NFL draft after the 3rd season because he wouldn't be welcomed back into the school football program for the 4th year. He was drafted into the NFL in 2010 in the 4th round by the New England Patriots. Hernandez started the 2010 season as the youngest player on any active roster in the NFL. As a Patriot, he quickly made a name for himself as a rookie, with 45 catches for 563 yards and 6 touchdowns. He was the go-to guy for Tom Brady at his prime, along with Rob Gronkowski, making him one of the most feared teams in the league. The next season in 2011, Chad Ochocinco gets traded from the Bengals to the Patriots in one of the 85 jersey, which Hernandez was wearing. So Hernandez allegedly sold the number to him, opting to go for his college number 81 instead. It came up during the trial that Hernandez had requested $75,000 for the jersey, but Chad negotiated it for $50,000, which they agreed on. That money was allegedly used to fund the purchase of some pounds of weed for distribution. Apparently, Hernandez was living a double life, one as a successful athlete and another as a street nigga. Being signed to the Patriots meant he was only about a 2-hour drive away from his hometown in Bristol, so he was able to stay connected to all the shit going on outside. Instead of surrounding himself with his peers in the NFL, he kept the street niggas with him, even in his new mansion he had just bought.
I'm trying to watch over Aaron and Brandon. Man. They're good guys. We got a lot to handle. Absolutely. Good luck the rest of the week. All right, sounds good.
In 2011, Hernandez had 79 receptions for the Patriots. Him and fellow tight end Rob Gronkowski had the most receptions of any offensive tandems in the NFL that year. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl, but lost to the New York Giants. He finished the season with a career-high 79 receptions for 910 receiving yards, 7 touchdown receptions in 14 games, and 12 starts. Hernandez ranked 15th among all players in receptions in 2011 and 5th among tight ends.
Well, I always wanted to be a running back, and growing up I was always a running back. And then coming to high school, we had a running back, so I asked to play receiver. They put me at receiver, and then I started gaining weight, gaining a little height, put me at tight end, and it just worked out from then on.
During the 2012 offseason, Hernandez goes back home to his stomping ground around his childhood associates. On July 16th, he was spotted briefly on surveillance cameras, coming in and exiting a club in the Boston South End called Kill Lounge. Investigators were probing the murder of 2 Cape Verdean immigrants who were shot around the club when they happened to randomly recognize Hernandez in the club surveillance footage, and they just chalked it up as being coincidental that he was there. Later on that month, Hernandez goes back in training camp for 2012 season. It was now time to renegotiate his rookie contract because the 2010 and 2011 seasons were just for under $600,000 per year.
This is a place that not only did it change my future from them paying me, but it just changed me as a person, because you can't come here and act reckless and do your own stuff. And that was one of the persons that I came here might have acted the way I wanted to act, but you get changed by Bill Belichick's way, and you get changed by the Patriot way. And now that I'm a Patriot, I have to start living like one and making the right decisions for them.
On August 27 of 2012, right before the start of the season, Hernandez signs a 5-year contract extension with the Patriots worth $39.58 million. That contract included a $12.5 million signing bonus and $15.95 million guaranteed. The contract extension was the second largest ever given to a tight end at the time, beyond teammate Rob Gronkowski's $53 million contract. Hernandez's signing bonus was the largest ever received by the NFL tight end. The 2012 season would turn out to be a disappointment for Hernandez, as he failed to live up to the expectation of the huge contract bonus. First, he got injured in his second game and ended up missing 6 straight games after. Then when he came back, he tore his shoulder and ended up playing injured for the rest of the season. The Patriots made it to the playoffs, but they ended up losing the AFC Championship to the Baltimore Ravens on January 20th of 2013. In that game, Hernandez had 9 catches for 83 yards in a 28-13 loss. That was the last game he would play in the NFL. Right after the end of this season is when his world started to unravel. A week after that last game in January, Hernandez was at a familiar nightclub called Cure with a fellow associate, Alexander Bradley, who was also his assistant, and a few others. After they left the club, they were pulled over after a brief chase when Bradley, who was driving under the influence, was swerving all over the place. Hernandez tried to sweet talk the officer, telling him, "Trooper, I'm Aaron Hernandez. It's okay." It didn't work, as Bradley was arrested for driving drunk that night. A few days later in February, Bradley and Hernandez are both in Florida. They went on a spree at a strip club, blowing $10K the first night. The second night at the same strip club, they both started arguing according to witnesses. On the third day, Hernandez had flown out of Florida alone, while Bradley was found in a vehicle with a gunshot wound to the head. Bradley somehow survives, losing sight in his right eye, and refused to say who shot him to police. That same month in February, Hernandez meets with his head coach Bill Belichick to let him know his life might be in danger and he needed to move somewhere safer. Belichick ended up connecting him with the team security, who helped him search for another residence. According to them, Hernandez ended up choosing a $1,200 apartment with the least amount of security that was only 12 miles away from his home. During the off-season, Hernandez decided to fly his family to California to be close to Tom Brady so he could practice with him and also get his surgery done. Another reason Hernandez went to Cali is to lay low, as he had become increasingly paranoid over his safety. His then fiancée, Shiana Jenkins, ends up calling the cops on him as he became intoxicated and irate, putting his fist through the window of the townhouse that they were staying at. He had another episode about a week later where Jenkins also called police, but they didn't do anything on both occasions, as responding officers determined that her and their newborn baby were not in danger. By mid-May, his fiancée was starting to get fed up with him for everything from his paranoia and irrational behaviors. Also, Hernandez was exchanging over 500 text messages back and forth with an old associate who was threatening to expose him to the media and the NFL. That old associate was Alexander Bradley, who police had found shot in the face in Florida, but was uncooperative. Bradley was claiming Hernandez shot him, and he wanted some money for keeping it secret. On June 3rd, Bradley texts Hernandez that he will be near Gillette Stadium when the Patriots ended practice. He said he was home with a semi-automatic handgun and was vested up. Hernandez texted Wallace, another local homeboy, and his new bodyguard to pick him up at the stadium. Then replied to Bradley, "Just know I'm up here and I'm not hiding." Bradley and Hernandez sent 125 text messages back and forth between 8:24 a.m. and 3:55 p.m. that day, going back and forth with accusations of betrayal and threatening each other. Bradley warned Hernandez that he would go public by suing him if he didn't pay up. On June 4th, the morning after that long threat, Bradley indicated in his text message that he wanted $5 million, and Hernandez had countered at $1.5 million, and Bradley said he would accept $2.5 million, but Hernandez never responded. He filed a lawsuit against Hernandez in Florida on June 13th, only to withdraw it 4 days later before the news media caught wind of it. Once again, Hernandez was in the clear, and nobody in the public eye knew anything other than him being an explosive tight end for the Patriots. A few days later, in the early hours of June 17th, Hernandez goes to a club named Rumor in Boston with a semi-pro football player, Odin Lloyd, who was dating the sister of his fiancée. When the sun was up, a jogger found Odin Lloyd's body with 6 bullet holes left to die in the industrial park near Hernandez's North Attleboro home, and police were notified. There was a trail of evidence leading them to Hernandez, so on June 18th, police paid him a visit and searched his home, and the NFL was notified. The next day, Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft both summoned Hernandez to the office for a meeting in which they asked him if there was any truth to the police inquiries, which weren't charges as of yet.
Today, police were back at Hernandez's North Attleboro home as they searched for clues about a body found in an industrial area nearby.
And there are conflicting reports tonight about whether the young Patriot star is being considered as a possible suspect in the mysterious death.
Eyewitness News reporter Sean Daly joins us live from North Attleboro now with the developing details.
It's been forever thus. Names make news, and it's still true. We're here in North Attleboro, outside the home of Aaron Hernandez, the star tight end for the New England Patriots. Under the intense glare of much of New England's news media camped outside his home in North Attleboro, Aaron Hernandez returned early this afternoon after being gone for several hours. While not far away, at least 7 members of the Massachusetts State Police's Special Emergency Response Team, or CERT for short, used poles similar to ski poles to search the wooded area along the side of a road. Less than a mile away, the police were still on the scene in an industrial park where a jogger discovered a body Monday afternoon around 5:30.
On June 26th of 2013, Hernandez is arrested and charged with first-degree murder in Odin Lloyd's death, plus 5 weapons-related charges. Hernandez pleads not guilty and is held without bail. The New England Patriots releases Hernandez immediately, less than 2 hours after his arrest. His fiancée Jenkins is also hit with perjury charges after prosecutors allege she lied to grand jury and disposed of evidence. While he is awaiting trial in jail, he gets into a few incidents behind bars. On April 11th of 2014, 2 other friends, his new bodyguard Wallace and another individual named Ortiz that were with him the night of Odin Lloyd's murder, are also indicted on murder charges. Ortiz and Alexander Bradley, who was shot in his face, starts cooperating. Bradley, who was present during the double homicide in 2012, is claiming Aaron shot him in his face to keep him quiet about it. Up until that point, there was no other connection between the two murder victims and Hernandez. Prosecutors only had a statement to go with, and the fact that Hernandez was seen in surveillance footage coming in and out of the same Club Care where the two immigrants had been partying. On May 15th of 2014, based on Bradley's statements, Hernandez is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the 2012 killings of Diabru and Furtado in Boston. On February 1st of 2015, the Patriots beat the Seattle Seahawks 28-24 to win the Super Bowl 49 without Hernandez. On April 15th of 2015, Hernandez is found guilty of first-degree murder and weapons charges in Odin Lloyd's death. He is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. On May 11th of 2015, Hernandez is indicted in Massachusetts for witness intimidation in the 2013 shooting of Alexander Bradley. Prosecutors believe Bradley was a witness to the homicides of Diabru and Furtado, and they say Hernandez shot Bradley after he made a remark about the double murder. In 2016, both Wallace and Ortiz are convicted of accessory to murder charges, and they both got sentenced to 4.5 to 7 years for their role in the Odin Lloyd's murder. Wallace actually beat the murder charge, while Ortiz took a plea in exchange for his testimony in the Odin Lloyd's case. Hernandez already got life for the Odin Lloyd's murder. Now the trial and the killing of Furtado and Diabru and the alleged witness intimidation of Bradley begins on March 1st of 2017. Prosecutors allege Hernandez shot at the men 5 times after Diabru bumped into him at the nightclub and caused him to spill his drink. Prosecutors also argue Hernandez's tattoo, including a gun and 5 bullets, represents a confession. Hernandez's defense argues there's little forensic or scientific evidence to prove the case. On April 14th of 2017, Hernandez is found not guilty of murder in the deaths of Furtado and Diabru and not guilty of witness intimidation of Bradley. Of the 8 counts Hernandez faced, he is found guilty of just 1, illegal possession of a firearm. On April 19th of 2017, just 5 days after the not guilty verdict, Hernandez is found hanged in his prison cell at 3:05 a.m. He is pronounced dead of an apparent suicide. On May 9th of 2017, a Massachusetts judge vacates Hernandez's murder conviction due to a legal rule called abatement, in which convictions are thrown out if a defendant dies before the appeals are heard. This decision is crucial because of the financial obligations that the Patriots had with Hernandez prior to his legal issues. When he was arrested for Lloyd's murder in June of 2013, the Patriots released him and refused to pay the remaining guaranteed money. Hernandez was planning a legal battle with the Patriots over the money, but the league was looking for ways to avoid a contract since the terms were violated when he was arrested and released from the team. The Patriots even went as far as offering a jersey exchange for all the fans who had purchased his jersey, basically trying to wipe out the name from their memory. After Hernandez's passing, his family had agreed to have his brain examined. On September 21st of 2017, testing on his brain showed he had a severe case of CTE, which was a degenerative brain disease that can develop after repeated head injuries. On March 13th of 2019, Hernandez's murder conviction is reinstated after the Massachusetts Supreme Court unanimously finds that the legal ruling of abatement should be abolished. So the Patriots now have no legal obligations to pay up to Hernandez's estate. Odin Lloyd's family ends up suing and settling later on that year in 2019. Alexander Bradley also reached an undisclosed settlement back in 2015 when Hernandez was still alive. At the end of it all, people start to reach their own conclusion about what really happened, since Hernandez isn't here to tell it all. His own older brother pens a book where he says Hernandez was physically abused as a kid by his dad. There was also rumors that he might have killed Odin Lloyd to keep him from revealing that he was in a closet with his sexuality. Unfortunately, we will never know the truth or the real reason why everything happened. Till date, there's still some mixed feelings about the youngest player in the NFL at his peak. Will they have overturned Odin Lloyd's murder conviction on appeal if he was still alive today? We will never know. The twisted story of Aaron Hernandez from Bristol, Connecticut. If you like this piece, make sure you leave a feedback in the comments, and don't forget to smash that like button for me. Itsonnowtv. I'ma catch y'all on the next one. Peace.